Hi, this is Sheila with Conscious Conversation Central, and today is Friday, June the 1st, 2018. We made it to June the 1st. I'm with my friends Lisa Flamino Rush and BZ Rieger. Hi, ladies.
Hello.
For coming and talking to me.
And your mic is soft.
Oh, well, okay.
That's
of
better.
course. Oh, well, okay.
Better.
Well, that's good. I was trying to be soft-spoken.
Oh,
Not my forte. I know. Yeah. Well, so are you ill? That would be Yeah, I know. Okay, so we're going to talk about doing things or wait, kind of hanging around and waiting for them to be done for you or done to you, sort of. I mean, I got the gist of that. It's like, here's the way I always put this. Sometimes we get a little tap on the shoulder. Hey, you might want to do this. This is the way my soul works. Hey, if I don't listen, the next thing is a slap. It could be the same thing, maybe something different. Generally, it's the same thing. If I still don't listen, the very next thing, it's a tap, a slap, and then the 2x4 is usually what happens. Or somebody gets hurt, or, whatever. So that's the way it works for me. I'm now seeing very clearly. If I don't pay attention, it's still kind of subtle. And if you're not paying attention, it's gonna happen, and now you're a victim of something. But it's really yourself. I have been guilty of that myself.
It's only perceived.
Right. It is only perceived.
mm-hmm.
So.
And your ego is the one that's blocking it all. Or another way you could say it is your heart is closed. Your heart is closed, and so they're not feeling clearly because all they're doing is thinking.
Well, and yes, and for some reason I'm hearing, and in truth, that's what we've all been trained to do.
Yes.
But it's time now to let that go.
Yes.
And it's hard. That sounds so easy, and it's not. Even when you're really trying.
Well, you can make it a game. Funny I should say such a thing. I know.
Right? I love it.
I know.
I live to play.
So what you're doing is playing with, recognizing, noticing your own duality, your own polarity, your own push me, pull you.
I've had a lot of practice with that one lately.
Yeah, me too. Yes. Yeah, I've just decided I'm going to go with the nudges because it's so much more, the most gentle ride you can have, I have discovered. And so now I'm just getting excited. Okay, so I get a nudge that I don't want and that I would normally want to argue with. Instead, I'm trying to just do it in the best way possible. Okay, I have to do this, so I'm going to do it, with purple earrings on. And I'm going to make it very exciting. So I've just decided to try to embrace that this could be actually really an exciting thing if I make it so. And that has been a lot more fun to plan how I will do it instead of having it done for me, because I've had that happen and it's never the funnest or the prettiest ride possible. And sometimes you know, I feel quite bedraggled when I finally get to my destination. And I would rather feel slightly more empowered than that. And so I'm going to embrace my creator nudges and follow the flow and love it. And they're not just platitudes. Right. No, this is something I have to embody in each moment. And there seem to be lots of moments. They're very persistent, this moment of now. And I'm so grateful for it, really, because honestly, it's all I have, and it's beautiful. So I'm trying to choose wisely.
Yeah, choosing wisely is good advice no matter what. But yeah.
You want to play for a moment with what you just were giving voice to, Lisa? So if you felt into it, would you feel any places in there where you could sense and notice where you were actually giving highlights to your polarities within you, your dualities within you?
Okay, if I could remember what I just said, that would be very helpful.
That happens. Happens.
But I'm sure I gave a beautiful example, didn't I?
You gave several of them.
Okay. So, well, let's go through them.
Well, I didn't write them down, but some of it was the phrasing that you did.
Okay.
And so, if we had like a pointer, the pointer would go here or would point here.
Or here. Okay, I gotcha.
That would be one of it. And those actually it was the phrasing that you use. So they're frequencies. Those grouping of words, when you give voice to them, have different frequencies. And there's a polarity between those frequencies.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And depending on the divergence of those frequencies, then there can be duality within that, kind of like you could look at duality in the sense of expansion and contraction.
Yes.
Or positive and negative, or, so lots of different ways to hold it.
BZ, would you turn your microphone up just a tad, please?
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
Okay, everybody turn down your speakers. I'm going to blow you all out.
No, you're not blowing us out.
And I'll turn mine down too. Oh, I'm not so loud.
So, what I'd like to play with for a moment is for either or both of you, when you're thinking about that, just start talking for a minute, and we'll see, because I can feel them right there. They'll come out to give us an example of what we were just talking about.
Well, I think one of them came to me when I said that it has it's going to come, and I can choose how I want to do it. And so that was like my ego wanting to control what was happening. Mm-hmm. And I was hoping, so please help me with this, that is integrating the liking it and the choosing it, and yes, my ego would like control over something, so you can choose today's outfit if you will, but not the activity.
Right.
So I'm hoping.
Yeah, actually, the second time you said it, you had integration in between, even though you didn't remember. And I get remembering what you said. So you actually,
okay.
if someone was to to look at the first time you said it, and then the second time there's a different flow. So that you narrow, one you might say you could narrow the polarity
Right.
between the two.
Okay, so it's more of an even than.
Yeah. Well,
Back
and
and
also
forth.
it's another way to look at it is when you're saying, so, you know, either I do it or it's done for me, or, you know,
Yeah.
gets done. So, which I is talking?
Well, the little I.
Yeah, not always though, but that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
That as you start to recognize it, because it.
Oh, so deciphering who
Yes.
it is that is using the I am. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, because it sounds different. It feels
Yes.
different. Particularly,
Yes.
it feels different. And if someone is listening and connecting while you're talking,
Mm-hmm.
unless they're very caught up in, you know, the lower mind I, they'll actually notice it. That's hard for them to notice it in their own stream and what they're giving voice to, but they can notice it with someone else.
Yeah, that's true. Mm-hmm.
And so it's not, so here's another thing, you know, it's, which would, if you play it in a way where it's not a judgmental thing, because that's the lowercase I, that's, you know, that's the lower mind I. It's not catching something, it's noticing. And the beauty in the noticing, even in particular in noticing when, you know, it's smarmy or the lower mind talking, because then you can really kind of sharp focus in on it and feel the energy of what it feels like.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever done something where it's kind of like muscle memory, it's body memory, it's a rhythm that you're feeling, learning to ride a bike. You finally get that, you know, when someone lets go and you pedal, you know, and it's that feeling. Yeah. And so now you don't go to try to figure out, well, no, put the pedal and move this and this. You go for the feeling because it's that memory. So if you, and then this, you would do the reverse. If you are more aware, noticing what that feeling is of that energy frequency, of right. More polarity, of more of your lower mind coming in. It's almost like you can feel that pull between the two in the energy stream, and in essence, it pulls you back this way. Mm. So there isn't as much of a contrast. Right. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm.
Hmm. What? I'm feeling into exactly what you guys are talking about.
I know. I just.
We can see it. The wheels are spinning.
No. I'm laughing because when I looked at you, the visual I saw was smarmy back by the door there, going, you know, kind of pacing back and forth. I can't get in this conversation that she's thinking about edge. I'm sorry.
Which is nice.
Yeah, no, I don't want him to enter at all. Thank you.
So maybe there might be some beings who don't understand that you do it or it's done for you. You know, it's kind of like if you're a parent and you have the phrase, you know, would you like to put the coat on yourself or would you like me to do it for you? But the coat's going on. So, and if we choose consciously to step through the things, to trust, to open our hearts, to let go of the fear base, because anytime that we have an objection or an excuse or a rationalizing, that's all lower mind. It's all ego, and it's a really good signal in that moment that our heart is closed.
Yeah.
Because when our heart is open, we're in the flow, we're in the truth of who we are, and there's no such thing as fear. It doesn't exist. Because we're creator beings, because we're source. The source afraid? No. So that's your tip off.
There was something right there. It was like frayed on the edge. And it went in. I know that it did. So it's in there and it's sitting, but I can't pull it back up immediately. There was something that you just said that triggered a realization of some sort for me. And I had it, and it just, I don't.
Want me to kind of say what I just said?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Because I can't say what I just said, but I can kind of do it.
One more time for emphasis.
When you're, anytime you have an excuse or a rationalization, or some reason why you can't do something, that's a clear indicator that in that moment your heart is closed and you're all in the ego-based lower mind. Especially, well, period, full stop. But it's even more acute when it's fear, embarrassment or anxiety or trepidation or those kinds. Just because those are more acute energy field frequencies.
Right.
Because, like I said, you're a creator being, and you actually are your soul and higher selves. They're all coming into you, and your source. And those other beings, which are all you, don't have any. It doesn't exist.
Well, whatever was dancing around the edge is gone. But I can clearly see the value for me personally in keeping that up here in this front part of my consciousness. That okay, because as we all know, I've been really looking at everything. I'm relentless with looking at stuff for myself, sometimes maybe a little too. But having that piece of information as a guideline is very valuable.
Yeah, because you don't have to go anywhere. You're right there. The information's being fed to you all the time. And you can kind of put a marker, almost like I guess if you were into neuro-linguistic programming, it's like a marker there. You can, when you feel that, hear that, notice that coming up. It's like if you said, every time I hear the word cat, I'm going to think about something. So because it's also another way to notice programming.
Well, that's what I was just getting ready to say. For me, keeping that right here in the forefront of my mind, so that because that's, well, and in an even more subtle way, for me personally, I've actually seen recently program shielding that reacts in that same way too. Yeah. So keeping that bit of information right up here in the very front of my consciousness, being vigilant is the word I'm going to use for myself where that's concerned. And that any time I notice that in myself, I'm okay, hold it, what's this using about over here? And really,
that's very helpful.
Yeah, really just sitting Okay, let's just examine this a minute. What can
Well,
I
the thing is that because the way that we've well, I was trying to think of a more expansive way to describe it, but those aren't coming to mind right this moment. But you know, conditioned or trained or ingrained, ensconced, debilitated by, you know, the
immersed in?
the programming, the false construct, the illusory nature of what we think is the world and how it's supposed to work out there.
Right.
So, for example, I was having lunch with somebody the other day, and we were talking about along this kind of line, and he said, well, then there'll be inflation. And I said, yeah, and who'll take out the garbage? And we both were for laughter, because for 5 years we've heard those two things. Either the garbage first and then the inflation, or
yeah, I know. We don't have thought into that. Well, that's a whole nother subject.
But I bring that up because there's a good example. So, you know, a lot of this oftentimes comes around if there's abundance, if absolute data is revealed and there's abundance, and you know, even if there's a transitionary part where there's things with unfettered access and that kind of stuff before money completely goes away very quickly, right? An awful lot of people go to, instead of getting out of the box and giving voice to, you know, being out of that box and what they want to do, they go, well, that would cause inflation. Or, well, who would take out the garbage? And I can hear a lot of people going, but yeah, that would cause inflation. Who would take out the garbage? Except that all of that is part of the program, because all of the economic diatribes, all of the forecasting, just on economics, it's all illusory.
Yes, true.
All
okay, so we got to do something. I'm getting an echo.
I can't hear you.
Yes, Lisa had to turn her speakers up, so now we're all echoing on Lisa's thing.
Well, I can't hear
because
you.
I can hear BZ. I can hear BZ echoing on your speakers too.
Okay, well, I can't hear her talking.
I know.
Okay, how's that?
Yes, it's like you just turned it on.
What microphone were we using? Because let's not use that one anymore.
The one under the desk. Or over there.
Oh, good one right here.
It was okay. The magic microphone from we just didn't be okay, never mind. I don't even know what to say.
Is the echo gone?
Yes. Speak some more.
So I was saying that that's part of the program.
Yeah.
And so oftentimes what happens is people will they get kind of confused because they go to that, they go with the programming, and part of the confusion is because a large part of their being wants to go play with the expansiveness of it, with the abundance of it, with the revealing, touching, connecting, being immersed in that expansiveness. So their heart is opening, which is confusing their brain. And their voice is just kind of on autopilot, speaking these, the company line.
There's a lot of that going around.
Yeah. And right this moment, The frequencies are such, the evolutionary quantum leaps, and that's a really tiny word to describe it, that we've clicked over into between the timeline. It's a timeline. That's not right. It's almost like a frequency fence, up-leveling fence, the sense that I get. Not accurate, but I'll use it as a placeholder for right this moment. Between the 31st of May and the 1st of June. And, if we were on the Enterprise, we would be on full boogie acceleration right this minute and jumping into hyperspace. And so you can see that in evidence in a lot of things. So all of a sudden, and I put this up and I sent it to Heather to play with, but all over the EU, in European countries all over the EU, they can't. The Visa and stuff is one of the main leaders of it. The company card is having leaders, is that they can't get cash unless they're at their particular bank. Well, it has nothing to do with Visa. It has nothing to do with glitches in this. Well, actually it does. There's a big ass glitch. And
yes, big glitch.
Yeah. And there,
darn those glitches.
Those UCC glitches are just, it's fascinating. So that's just one example, and if that slipped by some folks, then you could go to another 3-letter place and go do some research, because you're actually now seeing it in all different ways coming into focus. And actually, I put up that article, posted that article, and then there's an email from Heather where she's playing with that. So I'll just let people read it because there's stuff that has to do with other things you see going on right now in Europe with Italy and the elections, non-elections, on-elections, off-again elections, choicing, and well, there's another thing that's about to go up on the IUV, but there's lots. Suffice to say that there are conversations all over the place going on right this moment that are actually now part of the public domain from, officials within the EU and so on and so forth that are realizing the monster that they are part of, a monster that's all showing its teeth. And so again, you can go do your own research all over the place. IUV was just one small, tiny place to do some stuff that connects a lot of dots. But reason I'm calling attention to this and why it's such an apropos moment to have this conversation about you do it or it's done for you, is that we're in a quickening right this moment.
You can feel it.
And it won't slow down, so ever. So it's gone from, one pace to a quickening, and then it'll just expand from there. And that quickening is that all the things that you would say that you'd point to out there, and that all the things that were related, just as a few examples, that were related to that, the kind of what would come out unconsciously from a closed heart and a really active lower mind, all those company lines of the false construct, the illusory nature of it, will be vomiting out of people all over the place.
Yeah.
Just projectile.
Along with all sorts of excuses why not to do this, that, or the other. Oh my goodness, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you know, and it's kind of related, although not. I just think it's interesting. There's a comment that's waiting to be approved on the IUV, and the only reason I bring it up, they're commenting on happens to be a post about wolves, and the person comes by and says, all they say is fake, all caps, and then they put in Snopes. The reason that I point that out is that's another one of those false construct, illusory things, right up there with there'll be inflation or who'll take out the garbage. And again, that's best left to people to actually do some research on their own. Why I say that, a lot of people know exactly why I say that. They get that. And a lot don't understand that because they take the company line, and actually that's really apropos considering who runs this particular company line.
Yep.
The clowns. So all is not what it seems. And when we've been trained and programmed to put our thoughts and our beliefs and our vehemence behind defending, upholding, promulgating these kinds of things without ever really tuning in. In fact, we've gone beyond not tuning in. We have pushed away, shoved away, buried deeply. It's why people have a lot of problems within their physical bodies, why they carry a lot of weight in different ways that is not having to do with carrying more light. It has to do with packing things down and pushing things down. It's why there are so many people that have gastrointestinal kinds of things, because they're kind of shoving all of that down. Because all along our bodies, all of those bodies have been having a conversation with us, have been loving us and nurturing us and guiding us, and we have not even deigned to think about paying any attention. We've pushed it all away. And so this whole thought of you do it, or it's done, or it's done. You'll see evidence of it wholesale all over the place from these moments forward in very dramatic, poignant ways. And Lisa, there was something that you mentioned, you said, well, I'm feeling into choosing and listening to the nudges because it's easier than having it done to me. And that's exactly so. And sometimes, because depending on how we've lived our life, how closed our heart has been, because most beings on this planet don't remember how to feel. So there's been a lot of that pushing down. And so even when you choose, and you choose to do it, sometimes it can be really uncomfortable. Sometimes it can be really sludge, glick stuff that you're pushing through. And go with it. Open the heart. Play with it. Lighten it in different ways that you can, but go with it. Because if you think that choosing road is hard and sludgy, and you put your boot into the mud, and now it's up past your hip, it's not just the boot that's stuck in the mud, that's going to be what will happen for you, and nobody's doing it. You're doing it to yourself because you have kept putting the pillow over your head. You've kept choosing not to wake up. You've kept choosing not to listen. Everything is a choice, whether you consciously see that or not. So always choosing to do it and take those steps, even if they're hard. Even if you have a sense, okay, this is going to be hard. It's so much easier, and I can tell you from so many different first-hand notice that it's so much easier to do it that way. In fact, when you do it that way, especially when you haven't done it that way, even the really incredibly hard things just seem to whistle by like a piece of cake, because you remember the ones that you didn't choose that way. And anyways, the point is that this is where we are right now. So it's an apropos conversation because you don't even have to watch the video to know that this is happening to you, to all of us used all over the place.
Yes.
And it's just a helpful tip to perhaps listen to.
Well, I want to say for my part in this that because I damn near perfected, I was such a good creator being, I damn near perfected the art of stuffing that stuff down, of keeping it way down where you couldn't feel it at all. Now when a lot of times I have to really sit and feel things for a while and really, okay, what am I feeling? Well, a lot of times I get this, well, nothing. Now what? So I just sit some more and feel some more and stare out the window and feel some more. And sometimes it, takes a while. And then I still have trouble trusting what I feel sometimes. Well, a lot of times. Okay, I feel that, but what's that about exactly? Because sometimes there's a program attached to that feeling. And so, but I just wanted to throw that in there because I don't want anyone to feel like, oh, well, they got it and it's all, new to do. But it's not like that at all. At all. Especially for me in this moment of now, I still, although I'm getting better at trusting what I get and trusting the feelings that I get when I get them, there's a lot of times that things will come up and I will try to feel into it to maybe either make a decision, see how I feel about that, get some guidance about that. And I got nothing, or at least that's what I feel in that moment. So rather than, because what I used to do is to say, oh I got nothing. Don't know what to say, can't help you. Or meaning me.
Right.
And that still does happen, I'm not going to lie. But I don't feel like I have to be rushed either in this moment of now either, because I really want to, I'm working on, this is what the internal work is for me anyway.
Yep.
Yes. To me, it's the most important thing that there is to focus on. I mean, that's.
Yeah, because going inside is how you get to everything.
Yeah.
It's how you get to the new earth. It's how you get to everything. It's how you get to absolute abundance. It's how you get to everything.
Okay, so when I started out on this journey with you ladies, okay, when we all just started talking, there's a lot of what has been said about, going within, and that's where, that's how, And I really just, I listened, I was taking it in. I could, now I know I was feeling there was truth to that. That was definitely a puzzle piece, but I still didn't get it. So I just kept going, and I do now. And I think between everything that I've witnessed, felt, experienced, all the way from standing on the edge of forever to standing in other places I'm not real comfortable with. That whole thing about going within is that's all we can do. I now see metaphor everywhere, and I truly get it. I truly get it, that it won't be seen out there until I've handled it in here. That's the bottom line. That's the bottom line. Everybody needs to get over themselves and get that. I'm talking to myself too, by the way, just so we're clear. I really see that now. And we got this. I do feel we got this. I do feel that.
So I'm going to use the visual of your room for a moment, okay?
Okay.
So it's your room, it's your vessel, it's you, right? Right. So as people are looking at this, and you see that shape of it's got a rounded top, that's a door. So for Sheila to go to the doors, the places that she might want to think is out there of the new earth, or letting go a lot of the old programming, or a place that if she opens the door, there's absolute data, whoa, the town crier is singing it loud and clear all over the place, right? That things have come to resolution, that things have come to expansion. So if you kind of hold it as a metaphor that way, this, as you see on the visual on the screen here, the way that Sheila can go to that door and through that door is from the inside. So this is within her. So however you need to hold it to kind of get to your own version of what I've just talked about, it's within you. There are, magical doors within you that you can open all sorts of places. And sometimes you open the door and there's, dead skunks on the door and they're really stinky. Okay, well, so you can, moan and complain about it, or you can sweep them up and let them go, But those are good metaphors for, and it is all metaphor, because metaphor is the closest thing that we have on this planet in linear constructed brain to speak the language of light. And anything that you hear and read of well, I could stop right and say anything that you hear and read is all metaphor. Because you are decoding all of it.
And I want to add something to that, because something that has helped me see that all of that is metaphor. Everything in the news, everything is metaphor for the internal work that we are doing, and all of that is, it's like I can look at almost any situation now, any news story, anything on television, any movie, you name it, I can look at it now and I can see where it is my story. Mm-hmm. It is my story, and it's talking about all about I can relate almost all of it to me and my internal work and what is going on, all of it, everywhere. From the smallest all the way out. When you look at things through those lenses, those aperture lenses, and you look at it like this, you can pinpoint it, you could go right down to, but it's different. No, I don't know why. I'm losing it. It's so hard to speak in a linear fashion about all of that, but it's all of it. I can see where every single thing. It's all the same story, folks. It's all the same story. It's my story. It's your story.
Yep.
Everything that's happening out there.
So use Sheila and her room as a visual again for this metaphor. And you see behind her, there's joy and there's that door. So there's now a newspaper article, really blown up size, plastered to that door. This is all within Sheila. So in order to go through that door and take the absolute data that's coming through that particular newspaper or video or whatever it is, for Sheila, that's her magic door for that part and that part and that part. That's how it goes. That's really a simplified, although fairly accurate way to talk about all going inside. And really helpful to going inside because we've forgotten how to feel. And because we don't at all remember how to play, there's an awful lot of grinding going on when we start to commit to 100% to ourselves and to our soul and all of that. And so we don't remember how to play or we never really did it to lighten that and to make it more the metaphors will come faster and they'll come clearer if we're playing with it. That's first. But the other thing, and when we're not feeling, there are big pockets and pieces within us that are completely shut off. It's like a twisted kink intestine or something like that. And because you haven't felt, there's all those covers and shields that you can't get at it. So what's a really helpful way to deal with that big problem? Play at feeling, but play at feeling with the good stuff. So if you love music, then spend moments each day consciously being ensconced in music, or looking at a flower, or planting flowers, or watching a butterfly, or petting a dog, or whatever it is, something soft in this fabric, or smelling an aroma of something that you really love. Is it lily of the valley? Is it coffee being brewed, or whatever? There are all sorts of things, and in that moment, feel it. And use all of your sensory capabilities to feel, to tune into it. And that will open up what it is. It's almost like, metaphor alert, it's almost like these little drills then when you're doing that, which is fun, and you're thinking, okay, I'm just enjoying this. But what it's actually now sent out, all these little drills that go into the other stuck places in you that are calcified over, where it's all pushed down. And it's making it more porous. It's letting in little tiny fractional pieces of light and more air. And so that when you keep doing this work and you go to look into those places that you haven't felt, that are the harder stuff, that's the more blocked stuff, that's the icky stuff. It's not going to be one damage that just goes, right? Because you put all those little holes from fun, from play in. And so a little bit will stream, and a little bit will stream, and a little bit will stream, and it doesn't hurt nearly as much.
Well, I want to say something about that, BZ, because what you just said is very true. However, if one does not do all that, because that's partly what we're talking here about, that that you talked about, that's what we're talking about. Do it or it will be done.
That's right.
So do it in a fun way and in a playful way of opening things up for oneself, as in these energetics, and the fact that Gaia has already made her choice and is ascending. It's like that's what's happening. And so either you could play with it and develop it and develop a fun, happy relationship with it, or because it's coming, it's going to up and out, if you will.
Yep.
And you can go, and believe you me, because I've experienced this just recently. If I didn't pay attention, and you can set things up for yourself, and you will get it. You will get it. It might not be easy, but it will, because things have to be made room for,
right,
within our fields. We talked about that bucket metaphor before. And so all of that has to go.
Mm-hmm.
And it's much more fun to play with it in gentle, fun ways to play than not.
Yeah, and some of the playing can be like maybe you were with 12 great friends and you just had a big rugby match and you got, dirt on you and clumps of grass in your hair and your shirt's torn and, I need some aspirin and some water and lie down for a week, kind of a thing. But, it really is all good. Just to as a friend would say, to be really flat-footed for a moment on that thing. What does that entail? Oh, it can be all sorts of stuff. Divorce, serious illness, car accidents, your job is gone, your children are taken away, money's gone, homeless, all at once.
Yeah.
Can happen too. They don't have to, or
hey,
they, see
if that was your list. Yep.
And a whole bunch of other stuff. So it really, and when you come through that and out the other side, you are so happy and so thrilled and so absolutely joyful and laughing at yourself that no, you didn't choose it and it got done, but you're so glad it got done because you wouldn't give it up for anything. You would not change anything. You wouldn't take away, erase, mitigate one single tiny mote of the trauma and the fear and the pain and the anguish and the fingers hanging on by your fingernails and they're ripping off one at a, you would not.
Yep.
Because I wouldn't. And
well, we all know that sort of happened to me too.
I know many thousands of other people who,
yep,
beyond that, who would not.
Yeah. I wouldn't trade anything that happened for me. No.
But I can say that it's easier if you do it the other way. And just as deliciously rewarding.
Yeah. And if you can, why not?
Right. Well, the energies support you now. They didn't.
Yeah.
Well, I much prefer that. I to be honest, I would much prefer the fun way.
Right.
Yeah. To be honest, yeah. Wow. This has been a good one, ladies. Do either one of you have anything to add?
Not really.
No? Okay. Well, I will have all the usual things in all the usual places. And we'll close this energetic envelope. And thank you both very much. I feel very dizzy. So until next time, thanks everybody.
Bye.